Democrats came into this speech lost and defeated by Donald Trump, and today it looks to me like they're even more lost and even more defeated than when this speech started. It started out with Al Green getting thrown off the House floor because he couldn't keep his emotions under control. Then they had the ridiculous paddles, which now social media is roasting.
That you said false on one side and
ridiculous.
Elon on
and
the
then
other.
finally, and maybe most terribly, the Democrats who couldn't find it in their heart to stand for objectively good things, including the 95-year-old mother of Mark Fogel, who got rescued from a Russian prison, and they couldn't even stand up for that.
That's Republican Scott Jennings absolutely destroying the pathetic clown show Democrats put on during President Trump's speech before Congress. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and if you're looking for more evidence that the Democrat Party is completely devoid of masculine energy, look no further than the spectacle they put on during Trump's recent speech. Because frankly, I can't think of a better way to tell the country that your party is run by petulant theater kids than to hold up little signs, make faces, and throw temper tantrums like they did. And honestly, it's not like their puppets in the media did much better. Here's MSNBC doing what Scott Jennings called one of the worst cable news moments he's ever seen.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ, and I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
Now, thankfully, everyone on that panel is unanimously being dragged through the mud for that stunt, which is honestly another way you can tell that President Trump is shifting the culture away from hysterical liberal fear-mongering and progressive pod people nonsense, which obviously has Democrats and their political shills and establishment media so terrified that they're doing everything in their power to convince you that all of this is widely unpopular and people actually hate it.
And guess what? Republicans love it. And I will just say, I think the Democrats...
Guess what? The country's bigger than just Republicans.
I know. Well, he's got over a 50% approval rating, and your party's got 21%. So he's doing okay. I think dying on this hill of defending every single federal worker, that the idea that we can't ever shrink the size of government because this sob story or that sob story, that is not going to play with the American people. Democrats gave no care whatsoever to the 10,000 people who lost their jobs when the big pipeline was canceled by Joe Biden, or the people who lost their businesses in the COVID shutdowns that went on and on and on, or the firefighters or the military that lost their jobs because they wouldn't get the COVID vaccine. No care for that. But care for government workers.
We should note that there were 16 million jobs created when Biden was president, and jobs were lost when Trump was president.
Okay.
So,
and you know how dishonest that is, because of what happened at the end of COVID and the restoration of
even
jobs.
during the period before COVID. At some point, you got to stop blaming Joe Biden, and you're going to be accountable. And, he must have met Biden a dozen times in his speech.
I mean, the X, I love you. You guys were blaming George W. Bush in year 8 of the Obama presidency.
No, but you know something, Scott? We learned something from that. We learned something from that.
He's been in office for 40-something days. I am hearing a lot of cope. These social issues, you know why he talks about them? Because they work. They're like 80-20 issues, and he's on the right side of them, and Democrats are on the wrong side of them. It worked in the campaign, and nobody... Oh, he's not talking about the right things. It worked in the inaugural. It's working in the executive orders. It's why he put it in the speech tonight. And on immigration, you're exactly right. It's his number one achievement so far. The border's effectively closed. The line of the night was they kept saying we need new legislation to secure the border, but it turns out all we really needed was a new president. Without question, in my mind, top scoring line.
I just have to say,
it's a bit funny CNN didn't mention who all of the jobs Biden created actually went to, because it certainly wasn't any of the people Jennings was talking about. But at the end of the day, here's all you really need to know about where the country currently stands. American trust in the media is at its lowest point in 5 decades. The only thing with lower support right now is the Democrat Party, which is why they want to kick up a fuss and gaslight everyone into thinking that Trump and his positions are widely highly unpopular. But once again, that's all liberal projection. Because according to a YouGov poll after the speech, 76% of Americans approved of it, with a majority saying it was unifying, inspiring, and made them feel hopeful and proud. 76% said they approved of removing Democrats who interrupted the speech. 77% said they support Trump's plan to cut government waste and backed his immigration and border policies. Contrary to liberal narratives, 73% said they support his stance on Russia and Ukraine. A majority said he accurately described America's crime crisis, which the media and Democrats said didn't exist. And a majority said he focused on issues they cared about. Frankly, this list just goes on and only serves as a reminder that establishment media is purposely misrepresenting reality. But let me know what you think. How did you feel about President Trump's speech? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.